going live. You are live. Hello again. This feels weird when I was just saying hello a minute ago. But yes, anyone that's joining us, welcome to book launch day for Falling Off the Ladder. Oh, there we go. She's doing it for me. Love it, because I'm just totally not prepared. It should be like, I should just have it in my hand at all times. Bye now. Oh God, yeah, StreamYard goes the wrong way, doesn't it? So, yeah, first session of the day, and it is only right, you know, that it's Erin. So we have Erin Chamberlain, who
I feel like I should
been fundamental.
I feel like I should take a sticker.
Yeah, I've got the t-shirt.
I don't have a t-shirt.
I should have sent you a
I've got my little book of epic wins, but the kids have already stolen my pen, so I'm going to write, Helen wrote a book.
Yeah.
Helen published a book. I'll write that in here.
You should do. In big letters and colour it in.
You can have a whole page. Yeah. Maybe you can have the first page, the whole first page.
Well, it's only right.
In fact, I will do that and I will post it everywhere.
Yeah, I think so. Getting giddy now, aren't we? Getting giddy.
Oh, and you rightly deserve to. You've been working super hard. You've accidentally written nearly 2 books.
Oh yeah, that's the bit I didn't talk about this morning. Yes, there is a second book coming because I've already written 20,000 words of it in this book and then had to pull it out.
Yeah, you know, every time you hit a roadblock, you manned up. Well, womaned up. What's the right way to say that? You Helened up. You Helened up, and you hit it, you know, head on, and you kept on going, and this is the result. Look how thick this book is, and look how pretty that spine is.
I know. It's good, isn't it?
I know. And you know, you've got your little Unlikely Genius logo there. You've got the ISBN properly positioned. All of these things.
I had you in my head while we were doing this. And yeah, to be fair, Vanessa Mendoza, my cover designer, she's done an amazing job. She's really, I put it this way, I'm not sick of seeing this yet, and I've literally like branded myself up with everything falling off the ladder.
Are they earrings? Are they branded earrings too?
They're not branded earrings, but these are from a lovely designer, STEM Atelier on Etsy, and I buy quite a lot of earrings from her because they're amazing. So my little dinosaur ones are from her. Yeah. So, but they're the right colour.
The Pantone colour or something.
I know.
It's like the right match.
Yeah, it is. It's just perfect. Yeah. So, I'll introduce you, really, shouldn't I? Like I say, Erin.
Oh, we are celebrating you today, Helen. Like, you know, it's definitely worth celebrating that you've done it. Yeah. You know, so many people start out and say that they want to write a book, and they stop for various reasons, or something gets in the way, or they have to put it off, or whatever. And you have just smashed
Woman on a mission.
Yeah.
It was a woman on a mission.
It felt like you did have some tough times over the last year. You know, you did. And you know, and even with a few, you know, weeks off here and there, though you probably should have taken some more holidays.
I was going to say only 2 sessions I didn't make in the whole 9 months.
I know.
Yeah. So yeah. But you were my do we call you mentor? Book writing
mentor, publishing consultant. Yeah. I don't call myself a coach.
Editor.
Because editor is a good one as well. Coach just feels like a really loaded term to me, like you need to be able to teach people about their values and stuff. And when it comes to writing a book, I think you probably already should know who you are first before you get started. And you don't need someone to coach you to do that. Otherwise, that's one of the places that I think people get stuck.
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually, and I think that's possibly why, for those that don't know, I actually started writing a very different book at first, which was about e-learning and content design and how they work together. And I'd written a couple of chapters and I was just like, yeah, it wasn't lighting my fire. And there was clearly like another book in me that I wanted to write, which was this one. But I think I'd put that off. Yeah, this one. Which way are you? But I think I'd probably put that off because I was still in that phase of kind of working out the business and everything when I started that other one. That's interesting point actually. And then I got to a point where I was just like, I'm all right now.
Yeah, and I think that this book is probably a stepping stone to your next thing, which if you don't kind of start, mentoring people or coaching people yourself in the next 5 years, I would be very surprised. I can see you kind of having a team of people that do the e-learning stuff and you being the head honcho of that and overseeing them and sort of making that all happen. But for the fun stuff, that's when you coach and help people to do the kinds of things that you're teaching them in this book.
Yeah, this book. That one. Yeah. And then the next one.
The pretty one that has all the colour in it.
Yes, I do like the colour one, I must admit. It's yeah, well, it's been a journey, but like I say, you helped me realise I was writing the wrong one, which was obviously quite a big step of helping you actually get to today.
So when did you discover that? Did you discover that like when you were doing your market research at the start, or right back at the beginning when I did that that sort of 5-day challenge thingy? Or
I think I'd started to realise because I was just not feeling it at all. And sorry, I've got an email or something that keeps bonging and needs to shut up. Yeah, so I think I'd started to realise that it was maybe not lighting my fire very much. And I write e-learning and write about it all day anyway. So it was a bit like, oh God, now to write that in the evenings was feeling a bit much. And it's not, I don't think that's a topic I could put my personality into so much and just write as me, which was the big thing I was realizing through. I did the Write 52 challenge where you had to write a blog post every week for a year. And that was the first step in starting to realize I could write, because funnily enough, one of the blog posts I wrote early in that was that I wouldn't call myself a writer.
But that's a thing, that's a thing as well. Don't write a book if you don't like writing. Because you're also going to get a bit stuck. That's one of the, so doing like a blogger week kind of challenge, or not outsourcing your social media because you're writing your blogs or you're writing your social media. You get yourself into a writing habit, and then it's so much more likely that you're going to stick to your scheduled times when you sit down to write. If you don't like writing, fast track to not finishing your book. And you may as well save up for a ghostwriter in that instance, if you really want to write a book, but you really don't like writing.
I don't know why you would, to be honest, if you don't like writing. It's like I say, I find it really cathartic. I think because of the topic, and I could finally talk about some of the stuff and the experiences and build that into something more positive of how I've got from there to here. But I definitely discovered that I loved writing. I just never thought I could be a writer because writers write in this big fancy language, don't they? And then I discovered content design, and actually writing in plain language is what we should be doing, and I'm a huge advocate of that. And it almost gave me permission to then write a bit more. And so between that and Write 52, then like you say, I did your challenge and your activities in that, I was like, oh, maybe I need to be doing this other one. It kind of all just came together, I think. And then I was going to say I didn't stop, but actually I got stuck in the research phase for quite a while, didn't I? Because I remember you saying to me, I think you've done enough now, just actually start writing. Come on.
But that again is a little part of your brain keeping you safe from starting the big project and feeling like it's too much for you, or it's something that you're not going to finish, or that it's not quite right. Sometimes, like especially at that point, you do just need to break through. I mean, there are some points where you 100% might not be ready to write a book. Like earlier, you might not have the right topic, you might not know who your reader is and the types of clients that you want to attract through your book and who you want to work with in the future, or you might not feel kind of like you've done enough sort of helping of people first. But
yes.
even then, because you're slightly different to most of the people I work with in that you're not actually helping people specifically, become self-employed. Like, it's only through writing the book that you've come to see that you really could help people take that next step on the journey to become self-employed. And I remember right back at the start when I was like, yeah, and you could do this and this and this, and you're like, nope, nope, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm here to write my book, and I'm going to write my book. But it was when we started, it was when you started putting in all of the activities, and you didn't have any issues finding an activity or journaling points for any of your chapters. That wasn't anything that stopped you.
No, and that really surprised me actually, because when I first said about putting activities in, I was a bit like, well, I'm not a therapist, I'm not this, that, and the other. But actually, once I started writing the chapters, the activities just fell out of my brain. It was bizarre. I feel like the whole book's just was there and it's fallen out somehow. But yeah, when I look back at all the things I've done, like looking into mindfulness and NLP and all kinds of different things over the years, that I'm really interested in how our brains work. And obviously I love learning. I'm an eternal student and I read a lot anyway. I'm absolutely addicted to nonfiction now. But all that suddenly came together, and it feels like I've just pulled all these bits that I've learned over the last few years of trying to get past these panic attacks and past feeling thoroughly miserable and whatever to where I am now. And that's the whole point of the book, that if anyone else is feeling that way, that they're trapped in employment and want to leap, or they've made the leap but not feeling confident, then this book's what's worked for me. And I've basically just pulled all that out from my experiences, which I didn't even know were in my head, but they were there.
And it's not like you're really setting yourself up as, a coach or a mentor. You started off wanting to share the things that had been helpful to you. You're an expert in leaving the corporate life and setting up self-employed, and that's what comes across in the book, that we all have our struggles and our roadblocks and the things that give us all the wobbles and stuff like that, but you're super successful after what, 2.5, was it? Have you just had your second birthday? Is that what?
Third,
yeah. So I mean, that's insane. that you've come from all of these experiences and stories that you've told in the book, all of these tricky situations, to being fully booked most of next year already.
Yeah, probably. Judging how much I've got on right now, yeah. Certainly till next summer.
It's just, because I mean, from what would you say? See, I'm going to ask you some questions now. I know you've got a whole stack of questions. I'm just gonna. It's your day.
We're going with the flow, everyone. We're going with the flow.
We'll celebrate you. What would you say was the hardest bit then? Obviously that first place where you're doing all the research, you're trying to work out what you don't like in books, what you do like in other books. You're getting a really good idea of how it can fit together. Based on all of the other books that would be on the shelf in your category. Then what would you say? I would say that, the writing bit seemed to go really easy for you. And that's the bit that most people are scared of and thinks takes the most time. I'm never going to find the time to write 40,000 words. And here you are, having written, 80? Without really breaking the sweat. What would you say was the hardest bit of the process?
I think for me, it was, like you say, I found the writing just flowed, and I'd get in the Write Now sessions with you for the 2 hours on the Monday night, and I could write 2,000 words easily. Sometimes it was way over that. sometimes I carried on till 1 o'clock in the morning. It was when I got to the point where people needed to start looking at it. So when you said about beta readers and you need to get it to beta readers, that absolutely just made me almost shut down. That's the point where I probably could have given up, where I didn't feel like it was ready. And I, when I sent it to them, I was like, this is the shitty first draft. Just bear that in mind, because, but to let someone see your unedited, undeveloped writing, and that is terrifying when you're not a writer. And it is when you're a writer, but that was a huge step to get past. And then I spent a month terrified of what they were going to email me back. But the feedback was great.
Yeah, it's not just a self-publishing thing either. One of my clients last year, she delivered her 9th book to me for editing and needed to be told it was good. There's that Elizabeth Gilbert passage where, she's made mega bucks from her books, hasn't she, and the films and all of the rest of it. And she still, took that time to write that 1.5 pages about just how terrifying, being creative is and putting yourself out there is, like, on every single level. It sets all your mind monkeys just chattering away on everything, doesn't it?
I remember sending you a picture of that page just going, oh, thank God. Not the only one.
Yeah. And there's another person in right now who he's got a publishing deal. He is going great guns on his book, and yet when it came to sending it to his editor so his editor could see how it was going on, it took me 45 minutes of chatting to him one session to get him to send the email. So it's the thing. I think it's the big thing that we're putting ourselves out there.
I think, especially when you're writing a book that's so personal, it was my story, as well as that of obviously 9 other people that are in there, but you kind of you were I feel like it makes those comments so much more raw to take if you get any criticism or whatever. But I would say that the good thing to come out of that with the beta readers, and then also obviously I had 9 early readers who have been reading it over the last month and giving me feedback, ready to upload their reviews and stuff for me to Amazon now. And their feedback has been phenomenal. It's just been so confidence boosting, because I said to them, be honest. If you hate it, you hate it. But they've all come back and just absolutely loved how it's flowed. And I think the big thing has been that the honesty in it and the openness of the stories I'm talking about, which, I mean, there are still things that I didn't go delve into because they are maybe that bit too far, a bit too personal, whatever. But I think finding that balance has been really important for the book. And yes, obviously the experiences I've had have been horrible, they've been horrendous, but then that hope that you're giving people to get from there to here, and look where I am now within, I did that within 2 years. Okay, now we're 3 years on.
Yeah.
They've really resonated with that. And I think that's been a huge boost to have feedback come back. And I definitely would say to anyone writing a book, make sure you get some early readers in, because at all those points where I could have been wobbling over the last few weeks and just decided not to do the PR or not to set up a launch day because I was terrified, you get these lovely comments back, and then you're like, oh no, actually, yeah, it's actually quite good what I've done. I'm going to put it out.
Absolutely. And you know what? I want you to remember that the difference between the manuscript that you sent to the beta readers and the manuscript that's in the book as well. So even though it was terrifying to send it to the beta readers, you did, what you discovered at that point. What was the big thing that you discovered at that point when you sent it to the beta readers? What was the biggest change that you made?
Well, taking part 4 out of the book to be a separate book, I think was actually that came a bit later, didn't it? That was kind of quite a late realization.
It was putting more stories in, wasn't it?
Putting more stories in was a big thing, yeah, because I know you'd been mentioning that, and then both of the beta readers came back and said, oh, just expand on some of the stories a bit. because funnily enough, I'd put loads in, hadn't I, and taken some out thinking I was making it too much about me. And then the beta readers came back and went, "We want more of you." And I was like, "Oh, all right then." I'll put them back in.
Well, I mean, there's a balance, isn't there? Because, you know, I always talk about how we want the book to be useful, but at the same time, as well as being useful for your reader, you know, you can focus on your reader and it can be useful for your reader, but it also needs to have a flavor of you and have your stories in, doesn't it? And it's the stories that people resonate with. It's the stories that people will talk about when they're talking about your book to other people. It's the stories that, you know, that the teaching points hang on almost. And I remember we were talking about, you know, there are a couple of authors that come to mind really easily that do that really well, like Brené Brown and Denise Duffield Thomas, and even Gay Hendricks, I think, with his Big Leap book. That's
still need to read that. I keep carrying it around the
house.
I'm
confused, and that's Atomic Habits. I get confused between those two authors. Too many non-fiction books around. But the stories, you can still write your story into a book that is about your reader, and that be okay and amazing and the thing to do. And I think way back at the beginning, I probably didn't talk about story enough, but I've come to see over the last year that it is really important, but it's just the right spin on it.
Yeah, definitely. Because I remember when you said about adding more story, and I started reading some books as well about, like, I read Story Driven by Bernadette Dewar, however you pronounce it, and a couple of others. And then I got really into that, going, "Oh God, I need to do this, this, this." And you were like, "No, you don't need to do it to that level. You're not writing a story. You're writing a non-fiction book with stories peppered through." It was like, all right, and it was finding that middle ground of not going off into Narnia.
And like you said as well, that, you know, some of the stories in your life aren't yours entirely to tell, or you know, you have some boundaries up that you don't want to go over, and that's absolutely fine as well. Like, finding that, I think, can take some time as well. So, you know, the people that are writing at the moment and are maybe 15,000 words in and are just not quite sure, or it's just starting to click, that's what happens. You probably have to go back. Do you think you did more work on the first few chapters than you did on the last few chapters when it came to sort of editing it and adding things, or do you think you're not sure?
Throughout, I think, because the editing was definitely a bigger phase for me than the initial writing, because, like I say, the initial writing, just the first draft just came out, but the editing, you remember I did that graph on Instagram showing, and it must have been about 10 times the amount of time I spent editing that book, because it was so important to get it in the right order, I think. So I spent a lot of time shifting the chapters around to make sure it flowed right. And then, like I say, there was a part 4 to the book, but I realised I couldn't get part 4 to link to part 3 properly. And it was then from you saying, leave some for the second book. And I was like, I'm not writing a second book. Leave some for the second. And about 3 weeks later, I went, oh, part 4's book 2. Let's take that out. And that actually took me about 2 weeks to do, working nearly full time just to pull the right bits out, leave some in, merge it into part 3. So part 3 of the book, I mean, it is the biggest bit of the book, but that was definitely the bit where I spent most time. It's I suppose that was the more reflective bit for me as well, because the first two parts, so part 1 of the book is very much about how you might be feeling, establishing where you are in employment. Part 2 is the feelings and the emotions that you will go through during the leap, and then part 3 is, you know, leaping and then flying off, doing your own thing. So that is
flying in self-employment,
flying solo, leaping off this, falling off this ladder, leaping off it, whatever you're doing. So that was, well, it's about 3/4 of the book, part 3, actually, isn't it?
Huge. But as you know, as a self-employed person, as most of us are here on LinkedIn or whatever, who've got some interest, you know, it isn't plain sailing being self-employed.
No, God, no.
So, you know,
there we go. We've got Stuart saying, I've always liked the idea of writing a book, never known where to start. So this is brilliant. Yeah. I think, Stuart, just start is my just get something on paper. And I spent so much time thinking about what I was going to write, like I say, and researching. I remember being sat on the floor in Waterstones when the pandemic finally opened, just with a pile of books around me. And you eventually said to me a couple of weeks later,
because it's important to do that.
Oh, it's important, absolutely. Yeah. But I got so obsessed with that phase, and it was only when you said, just write some words, and then suddenly I just went, bah, and it all came out. And that it had been really important for me to see how other people structured the book, the language they were using, the design of them, all those different things that I was looking at. But I just then needed that kick up the backside to just write something. And like, you know, I remember we had a call, didn't we, with the others in the incubator program, and you'd said, like, you don't have to keep any of the first part, because I don't think Esther had written loads, hadn't she, before she actually then just scrapped it all and started again.
And Vicky at the moment, who's about 40, about 40,000 words into the book, she's going back over her first 3 or 4 chapters, and that's where she's, you know, doing a lot more work, filling things in, adding stories, that kind of thing. You know, you just have to start, and you have to understand that the first part of the book is going to be weaker because you're practicing. And you know, yours perhaps wasn't, because it was very much your story. I mean, you read it to us earlier. If anyone wants to hear that, you just need to pop back to the earlier live. And, you know, your story was your story. And, you know, you told it in chronological order to set the scene. And, you know, so.
Yeah, although saying that, the actual bit of the book of my story, which is at the beginning, the introduction, I went back and totally redrafted that at the end.
Did you?
Because it was a lot shorter, because that was definitely a part where I took a load out, thinking it was too much me and it was too long for an introduction. But then, when you said about stories, and Francesca and Sally, the beta readers, did, I went back and added a lot more there, and then I redrafted it again right at the end to kind of expand on it and just shift a bit of it around. And because I think as well that was one of the parts where I really needed to find my boundary as well, of what I was going to tell and what I didn't. So that one did change quite a bit. She's read quite a bit, because she got it last week on Thursday. I found it. She was loving it. In fact, she is watching. Hello, Mum. Hello, Gambon. So she read quite a bit on the day she got it. No, she likes it. She's proud.
Excellent. I'm so pleased to hear that. Oh,
cool.
Well, I mean, I'm feeling this for you. Like, I so want this book to really succeed. And here's a question for you. You have, I mean, obviously you'd love your book to be a bestseller. But you haven't made it easy for yourself to do that, you know, to get yourself an Amazon tag, have you?
No.
So what's the thinking behind that? What is the most important thing for, you know, if you were speaking to your readers now and they've just finished your book, what would you like them to do next?
Well, I want them to, for a start, let me know how they're getting on in their journey. And, you know, I kind of want to build a community around people that have made this leap and share our experiences. And, you know, it's really important to me to get other people's stories in the book, because it was not just about me. It's about the freelance community and the self-employed community, because God love them. They are amazing. And you know, and then work together. You know, I am going to put more stuff out there where people can work with me, or extra resources they can use, and all that kind of stuff. There's loads in the works. It's just finding the time to do it, because, you know, shiny object. I want to do everything. But I think in terms of the bestseller thing, no, I am quite against this thing of dropping your price to 99p for a day, getting like your dog, your grandma, your long lost auntie to buy it all within an hour just to get this bestseller status. I just think that's really false. And this book to me is really, it's open, it's authentic, it's me. And I find that really, it conflicts with this whole thing of gaming the system. And you know, I've put everything into this book and I believe in it. I think these activities work, and like I say, I want to build this community, and I value it more than 99p. Thank you very much. And people buying it that are never going to read it. I want people to buy it because they want to read it, because they want to do the work, because they want their business to thrive, not just because I've asked them to buy it for 99p today, just so I can get some little tag and go, oh, got an Amazon bestseller. It's not. It's ick. It's ick to me.
Because you've done something unusual. I mean, this one in my hands, I'm gonna have to get my hands on the others as well. You know, it's in color, and you know, it's well designed, and you know, you don't have to crack the spine all the way open to read it all the way into the margins. And you know, and it's in the kind of paper that you can write on, that isn't shiny, and all of those things. You've taken a lot of care. You know, there's illustrations in it, and you know, that wasn't cost effective to put on Amazon. You know, a 4-color book. That wasn't going to make you any money. So you know, we worked out that you could do a small limited edition print run. You could get Your Heart's Desire, which is like a proper 4-color book. And then it didn't take much, did it, to, you know, send it grayscale. You know, it's still the same design, but, you know, but grayscale for Ingram Spark, which is now on Amazon. You know, it's got fun little features like, you know, thing to scan onto your website. You know, I've already gone onto your Spotify playlist. Yeah, see, you've got this as well. I mean, whoop, see, it's hard with cameras. You know, and you know, you're getting people into your world, and you know, it would be amazing if you sold, you know, enough in 1 or 2 days, 1 or 2 hours, whatever, on Kindle or on the black and white version to get yourself that, you know, bestseller thing. But what I'd love to see is reviews and people telling you, you know, just how much they've got out of the book. And, you know, people are, you know, can come easily onto your website, and, you know, maybe there's a newsletter to join up to stay in your world, or is there going to be a Facebook group or somewhere not on Facebook?
I've set up a Facebook group, which it's been broadcast into today, and then I'll keep that going as well.
Have I joined that?
Yeah,
sure I have I?
Yeah, you did. It's hard to know what's where, I must admit. Yeah, and obviously the Instagram channel's been quite a big one for me as well. Been putting a lot out on there and having to brave the reels.
Yes, but they're fun. They're fun. I feel like you've made this book journey fun. You know, I guess maybe the hardest bit was the editing part of it, and the disentangling the 2 books, and the, you know, and the scary bit of sending it to readers and stuff like that. But you know, it's out in the world now. Anyone can read this book.
I must admit, when it started landing in people's mailboxes this weekend and they were all posting, I was like, it was that excitement, but fear, but you know, everything. But then even like one of my beta readers is reading it again, because obviously it's so different from when she read it first time. That was a while ago.
That would be so cool to hear what she thinks of the difference. That would be super cool to hear that.
Yeah, true. I'm sure Sally will have a look again once she's moved back to Oz. She's just stuck here at the moment. Yeah. No, it's been a journey, but like you say, I have enjoyed it. I've discovered how much I love writing, and I certainly will be carrying on. Like I say, book 2 will be coming. Plus, there's another book that I wrote, a daft one on the side. I started ages ago. All the anecdotes of the stupid things that happened to me, getting slapped across the face by an owl and all sorts of stuff. I started that ages ago. So I'll carry on writing, and I do love doing this stuff, and I love supporting other people's businesses and helping them kind of have that moment of realizing they can be themselves, and that was the big thing for me. That was the huge step. So
Yeah, and the bunnies got in the book as well. Yeah. When did the bunnies come on the live stream? Are they coming? Have they got a particular time?
No, they're napping at the moment. They nap all day, nap and eat. I should try and get them on something at some point. Yeah, but we'll see. Try not to get my face scratched.
Well, yeah, you probably don't want to do that on launch day.
No.
Not when you've got 2 events tonight and tomorrow night, right?
Yeah. So if anyone wants to come join the party, because I'm terrified there's just going to be like me and you, and no, register on Eventbrite. Details are fallingofftheladder.com/launch. Get on the Eventbrite and register for tonight, because it will be fun. And like I say, I'm going to have some Prosecco and make a fool of myself. So, and it's your fault actually, Erin, because one of the things in the book that you said, you need to do this as a game or whatever at the launch. I'm good. If I get brave enough, I'm going to do it.
Super, definitely get brave enough, I would say. In fact, I'm disappointed. There'll be no games tonight, to be honest.
Oh no, there's games, all right. Yeah. No, that's
cool.
There we go. Right. Well, I didn't ask you any of the questions, so we'll have to do another session at some point to actually ask you those questions. Well, never mind.
Well, that's fine. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a launch. It needs to be all about you, and well, it does. Absolutely does. And and it's not just that you're making some waves here amongst the people that on LinkedIn and all of the rest of it. Last week you got featured in a proper traditional publisher's marketers newsletter, and she messaged me on the weekend. She wants to talk to me at swimming about your book, so I'm looking forward to
right. Okay.
So
I can send her a copy. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's not just it's not self-publishing is something that you get complete control over. So you got to decide how you wanted to publish it. You got to decide what date you wanted to release it. People that are getting signed for publishing deals, between September and October right now, their book's not coming out until sort of 2023. Next year's 2022, right? Over a year and a half. I've lost track. Over a year and a half away. Whereas you focused, you saw that you needed to do some really hard work in order to make your deadline, and you made it with a week to spare. I mean, the only annoying thing is that KDP is taking a while right now because of paper shortages and shipping issues and stuff like that. Like and that's not anything. That's going to be something that hits the entire publishing industry at Christmas. I was reading that when books go out of stock this Christmas, they're going out of stock. They're not coming back in.
Okay.
Usually, if you've got a big best-selling book that's doing great in October and November, they'll have a reprint, behind it, ready to come in. Maybe if they printed the first edition over in the Far East and had like a 12-week lead time on the boats, they do the next edition in Europe or somewhere here in the UK, but the paper's just not here. The paper's just not around. You can't get anything on ships at the moment out of the Far East, and that's the paper comes out of there, but it comes out of Scandinavia as well. That's where the logjam is. And whether you're in traditional publishing or in self-publishing, everything's going to be a bit tight this Christmas.
Well, even Sally Rooney's launch was messed up, wasn't it, because of all that? And I think she's a huge author, so of course it's going to impact us little people at the bottom. Yeah. Honestly, the phase of the uploading and all these final bits, the book's done, edited, all that, this last bit has been an incredible learning curve. The stuff that comes up, like even like say this morning, waking up at 5:30 to check it's gone live on Amazon and see that the price has been ramped up by them. Why has that happened? And then having to research it, and you just find your days thrown by all this stuff. But at least I'll know for book 2.
Yeah, maybe we'll try a special price or something. To hold it in place for next year. But yeah, I mean, you can like have you told everybody you can get it for the price on Amazon. You just have to click the button and click through and go and find it. But why would you want to do that anyway when you could get this colored copy much quicker, because they're in Helen's house. And all she has to do is pop it into one of these things and take it to the post office. So, you know, Royal Mail isn't having the same issues as KDP yet.
No.
So if you want a copy quick, the best way to get it is directly from Helen.
Yeah. And you get like laptop stickers and stuff included if you get it from me.
Yeah, you get the pretty stuff. You get the pretty version. Yeah. And it's only what, £2 more or something? It's not.
Yeah, £4. Yeah, £16.99. Yeah. Well, I feel like you've been like my QVC saleswoman.
Well, I did used to work in the bookshop. I do know how to do the bookshop.
You're on the Falling Off the Ladder sales channel. We have.
You know what you need to do next is you need to get a whole stack out of a box, and you need to put one here, and then you need to put a whole stack in front so that it's kind of saddled on the shelf so you can get some more on there, because I can see it hiding behind your shoulder there.
Yeah, well, I've got some here, but because StreamYard obviously cuts your screen in half, you can't see it on the
one under your lamp,
the one behind.
Yeah,
and obviously the I'm all branded. The reason as well is because bookshelf drama, where I had 2 new bookshelves delivered. One was smashed. Replacement was delivered on Wednesday. That was smashed. So my office at the moment is just all books on the floor. It is an absolute state in here, and the 3rd attempt is not coming till a week on Monday. So
when you finally go slightly crazy, you could build yourself a big book fort, and you could just
I basically have. They're all in the spare room and in the hall, and
At least you don't have to do the research for the next book, hey?
No.
You've already.
No. Yeah.
Right.
I'll have a break before though.
Buy this book. It's really good. Who's it for, Helen? Tell us who it's for again.
So it's for anyone that has been in employment or in the corporate world and felt pushed down, squashed, bullied, gaslighted, just absolutely despondent with that world, felt like they couldn't be themselves, and are either looking to go self-employed or have gone self-employed, and want to, well, basically find the permission to be themselves and to really thrive and get their head set in the right place to realise that you're not an employee now. You don't have to sit at your desk for 9 till 5. You don't, you've got that freedom now. So embrace it, basically.
And don't let the word corporate put you off, because it did.
No,
I wasn't sure what corporate meant, and when I sent it when I was talking to the proofreader, Yasmin as well, I was like, you're going to get loads out of it, She said, I've never worked in corporate. Well, let me tell you, even if you've never worked in like big C corporate, there is lots for you if you're self-employed.
Yeah, well, I did change it quite a lot up in the book just to say employed. So yeah, I do refer to corporate still sometimes, but I did change it a lot just to say employed by others, basically. If you struggled with that whole world and not fitting in,
even if there are only 5 of you in the office, right?
yeah, definitely. So, Michael said you can change the view so it spreads the view out like on Zoom. Oh, yeah. And then it'd just show you one at a time. Yeah. Oh, well, in one of the pre-recorded interviews this afternoon, I'd forgotten it was being recorded, and I was messing with the settings. Partway through, it just changes. It's like, oh, well, never mind. You live and you learn. Anyway, so what's Stuart saying? If you get this version, we'll throw in a free squeegee and something else in true QVC style.
No, this just a pen.
Just a pen and the notebook is all you're getting, and a laptop sticker. Yeah. Right. Well,
there we go. We talked for 45 minutes without any problems. I mean, I knew we would.
Without even using the questions.
Well, I mean, one of your questions were, if you could mentor any author alive or past, who would it be? And I'm like, I don't know. Mostly I was trying to avoid that question.
Sneaky. Yeah. But obviously the answer's me anyway.
Yeah.
It was just a test question. I was just testing you.
The answer is anybody who thinks they have a story, I think, and wants to help people. Okay. Yeah.
Right then, Mrs. Better love you and leave you so I can get sorted for Sarah Townsend is up next. Copywriter Sarah Townsend, author of Survival Skills for Freelancers, which is a great book, one that I did read pre-research for this. Actually, I'd read it anyway when she first released it, and she's become something of a friend, so it'd be lovely to chat to her. So she's up next at 10 o'clock on all the same channels as this was on: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. I keep saying Twitter. We're not on Twitter. But that's been fab to have a chat with you, Erin. And obviously we had to start the day with you because you were such a huge part of the book. Great work. And you have stopped me wobbling and quitting and writing the wrong book and all the rest of it. So
but you're the one who did the work. You are the one who did the work.
But it's good to have a cheerleader in your ear.
Absolutely. I will look forward to speaking with you on Clubhouse at 12, if that's still a thing.
Oh God, yeah.
But we'll talk about TR mostly then, I think.
Right, okay.
If you want to.
That's fine.
I mean, we can talk about the book as well, but we'll see how many people turn up. Come and listen to Helen talk to me and her PR coach on Clubhouse at midday.
Yeah,
cool.
I shall get the link up as well now, send that over. So thank you very much. And
excellent. I will see you at various points across the day. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.